This is a mixed set of seeds that bird.
Just going to have a look at some of the things that you might have at home that you can use to feed the birds. Now, quite a lot of birds like fruits. You might have some dried raisins or something you could try. They might well go for that. And then nuts. I don't have any peanuts, but I do have some cashew nuts. Now, the important thing is they must be unsalted. You can't go giving birds salted nuts because salt just isn't really very good for them. And then you might have some old seeds. I think these ones might be a bit hard, but you never know. The pigeons might go for them. They go for most things. These are some old dwarf French bean seeds, which I'm not likely to use. You could also, of course, soak them in water before putting them out. And here are some smaller seeds. These happen to be rocket seeds. These are probably much too small. They're just going to fall straight through the feeder. But if you've got any old seed, like, for example, grass seed or something that you're not going to use, you could always try putting that out for your birds. And then bread. This is an old standby. Best give the birds wholemeal bread for much the same reason as it's much better to eat wholemeal bread yourself. But if you haven't got any wholemeal, then I'm sure they'll take white. We used to always give them bread when I was a youngster, although these days it's thought not to be so good. But they'll take it if it's what's on offer, and they'll be grateful. Of course, any of these things you can combine with dripping from a joint. So if you've got some dripping in the fridge that you're not going to use yourself, you could always try melting it again and putting some of this stuff in it and then setting it in a small plastic container. And there are some peas and sweet corn. A lot of birds will go for that, so you can always give them that as well. So it's just a few things that you might have in your kitchen that you can feed to the birds. They'll also take things like bacon rind and so on, and if you've got any cold meat which is getting close to its sell-by date that you're not going to use, you could try putting that out. There you are. There are just some of the things you might have in your kitchen. Now I'm going to look at some of the stuff I bought. Now, something that's particularly popular with the birds in our garden are mealworms, and there's various other sorts of dried insects you can get, and the birds will generally go for them. These are very popular with starlings and blackbirds, and also the sparrows and titmice and so on seem to go for them. So you can certainly buy lots of different sorts of these from various different outlets, and you can get them online if you need to. Now, another thing you can buy is various different seed mixes. This is a mixed one. You can also get individual seeds on their own. The birds seem to go for this at some points of the year and not at others, but they're steadily working through the ones I've put out for them. You can get this online if you want to, or you can probably buy it with your weekly supermarket shop, because a lot of supermarkets do stock wild bird feed of various different sorts. Now, something that's particularly suitable for birds when they're raising their young are these suet pellets. These particular ones have got insects in them, but you can get them with various other stuff. You might find these in the supermarket, but you're probably going to have to order them online from a specialist retailer, unless a DIY store close to you has got them in stock. Another thing that you can buy are these suet blocks. This is a red one, and it's got it says it's got seasonal spices in. It's called Winter Warmer. The birds in my garden don't seem to like it at any time of year, but those in my daughter and son-in-law's garden seem to love it. This is another suet block. My birds love this stuff, and when I put one out, it's normally gone quite quickly. The starlings perch around the hanging feeder it's on and really get stuck in, and other birds like it as well. So they're both quite good things. But I do find that only certain times of year do the birds come to my garden to eat. The rest of the time they just don't come. And here's another idea. This is a ball. This one is made with seeds and so on in some suet. It's the sort of thing you can make yourself if you've got some suitable dripping or suet or something. But the ones that you buy from the shop are specially formulated and healthy for the birds, so they're quite good. As I say, I don't know quite why the birds sometimes come and sometimes don't. I always wonder whether they've got a sort of a birdie restaurant critic and they don't come to a garden until it's had a good write-up. That might explain why they can be so fussy sometimes.
You can use other things as well, of course. So traditionally, we used to feed the bacon rind from bacon or the fat from bacon to birds. Personally, I quite like eating the fat and bacon rind, so I don't give that to my birds. But if you don't eat the fat and the bacon rind, you can put them out either raw or cooked, and birds will have them. And of course they also catch insects, so if you plant plants in your garden that attract insects in, then maybe they'll come and hunt those as well. But you won't have quite so much fun watching them because they'll be all over the garden rather than in one place where you can see them. Now, if you don't already have a bird feeder, you can make your own out of one of these milk bottles. This is a 4-pint milk bottle, but you can equally well do it with a 2-pint one. And I know my daughter did a video showing a very elaborate thing where she cut the bottom off and then suspended the bottom back on. I'm not going to be quite so ambitious. I'm going to cut a hole in each side.
So I've cut quite small holes because I more want to encourage the small birds than the big ones for this particular thing. And there's one hole in each side to make it easy for the birds to get in and out.
And then I'm just going to make a little hole through here and another little hole through here and put a string tie through. Getting a barbecue skewer or something and taping the string to it and pushing it through, because I can see it's going to be fairly difficult to put the string through there. Take the top off for a minute. Poke it out through the top. Take the other end. Poke it out through the top as well, and I'll tie the knot inside. That's an easy way of doing it if you can't be bothered to go and find a skewer and some tape. So I'm just going to put the top back on, as I said, to keep the rain out. And I think what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to put some of these things inside it. Because the sparrows and things seem to be going for these at the moment. So I'm just going to put a good layer of those in the bottom. I'm just going to hang that one up there, because that seems like a good place for it. And I've also brought up with me, I think, a fat ball to put in the fat ball feeder, because I've noticed that that's completely disappeared today. And there's a few of these suet pellets left over, so I'm just going to tip them out over here for some of the ground feeder birds to go for if they want them. Good. So I put some of the bits and pieces that I'd sorted out there into my bird feeder, and I've put the rest of it down here on this other thing that I've got on the bird feeder tray, because that's where the pigeons and so on will go. And I expect most of these things are going to appeal to pigeons and magpies. There was a magpie up here actually when I came up just now, so I wouldn't be surprised to see them back here having a go at that.